Doodle-a-dee, it's another obligatory news show. Salutations, everyone. I'm Nirbikoshi, and welcome to more Niru rants, sorta, saying everything. I don't know. But take it away, CJ from San Andreas.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Despite Hollywood's best efforts, the Delta variant of COVID-19 has started to upend the movie theater industry's recent gains. Given the rocky film landscape, Sony Pictures has announced plans to delay the theatrical release of Venom: Let There Be Carnage, the studio's upcoming comic book adventure starring Tom Hardy as the venomous alien symbiote. The Venom sequel, which has been delayed several times amid the pandemic, was set to open on September 24th in the US and will now premiere on October 15th. The delay comes as COVID-19 cases are skyrocketing in the US due to the highly contagious Delta variant. The surge has led to a decline in consumer confidence in returning to the movies. According to a recent survey conducted by the National Research Group, 67% of moviegoers say they are very or somewhat comfortable visiting their local multiplex, which is a dip of 3% compared to last week, and down 14% from 1 month ago. As a result, the movie theater business hasn't fully recovered from the prolonged industry-wide shutdown. So far, the domestic box office has been a mix of COVID-era hits like A Quiet Place Part 2 and F9 The Fast Saga, and misses such as Snake Eyes and Space Jam: A New Legacy. Well, as much as Space Jam, do I blame streaming or do I blame the Delta variant? I honestly like Space Jam. Snake Eyes, I was reluctant to see because apparently this is technically a reboot of the G.I. Joe franchise, basically, and also changes the origin story of Snake Eyes. So I had mixed feelings watching that in the theater because I don't think it was worth going to the theater and watching it. I mean, I've seen G.I. Joe movies before back then. One like Rise of Cobra, and then what was it, Revolution? I don't remember the title of it, with The Rock. And they were fine. I enjoy them as action movies. They were okay. I just think Snake Eyes looks a bit meh for me because it doesn't seem like anything I would want to go and see. Despite that, I've heard that the stunt choreographer who did the, stunt choreography for the Rurouni Kenshin films, which I enjoy, and I haven't seen the last 2 films of it yet, which I will get to watching them soon as I'm done with another movie that I'm currently watching right now for a review tomorrow. But it is unlikely I would watch Snake Eyes due to what I heard, that the action was filmed awful, like it was choppy and all jump cutty, like any typical director who makes an action movie that's like a Jason Bourne film. But whatever. I mean, I like Space Jam: A New Legacy fine. It was just interesting. I just thought it was a fun, silly comedy animated film with Looney Tunes in it, and that's great. It's a shame that it missed, but I'm surprised they didn't talk about the Suicide Squad because they called that a flop. At the same time, the international box office, which is critical to the success of big-budget films, has been struggling as hotspots emerge across the globe. Andy Serkis is directing Venom: Let There Be Carnage, the first film, 2018's Venom, was a surprise box office smash, generating $855 million at the global box office. The sequel will star Woody Harrelson, Michelle Williams, Reed Scott, and Naomi Harris. Really, Naomi Harris? Didn't know that. But yeah, that is it about the news. It's been delayed for October. It is sad. Sony's not risking to do the same thing that Disney's doing, let alone do the same thing that HBO Max is doing. And I don't know if Paramount Plus is doing the same thing also, but if it is, they're also doing it too. And I don't think Sony is about to be the same ones to do that because they love money as much as Disney. They don't want to go and risk having their film be screwed over due to the whole pandemic thing and risking it to be set in theaters when no one is that interested in going at the time. Of course, it's weird due to the fact that a few movies that have really simultaneously, with Mortal Kombat or, I don't know, Godzilla vs. Kong, those movies did well. Those movies did successfully, but it feels like those were because that the pandemic was growing at an all-time low at the time this year when those movies came out, and it was mainly because people were, more comfortable getting back into theaters at the time. So maybe it is because this is like a different virus. It's a variant, it's stronger, it's the Delta, that people do not want to take that risk, even though they be wearing masks, even though they'll be in a theater that's safe. They know that maybe they'll be screwed over because they'll know that they'll catch it either way, and it would suck for them. Which is kind of sad right now, seeing that we were trying to get back into normalcy in a way for the world. Saying hey, we're gonna go and get everything back together. We're gonna go and succeed on trying to get movies back together and also get jobs back together, everyone together at last, working, everything, having everyone get jobs again and everybody working and having a good time. Instead, we're gonna have more virus. Yes, that's right, people. We have succeeded level 1. Now we have to do level 2. 2021 is basically 2020 part 2, basically, or part 1. The second coming, 2020 final mix. That's good. That could happen. It is scary to think that maybe theaters will never come back. Maybe this is the new age of movies, is watching them at your home and then garner money from viewerships, which is... Movies have become YouTube videos now. Get more money from many views you get. Yeah, I am very sad about this because I miss movie theaters. I still haven't risked myself to go to a movie theater in a long time. I've considered it many times, mainly for Suicide Squad or new horror movies that came out, or Godzilla vs. Kong. I kind of thought about and think that maybe I should go back to the theater, but I haven't. The only time I've been in theaters is with my family, because my family has done this thing where they get private screenings and we watch old movies together. Yeah, and mainly we've been watching the first Ghostbusters movie, the original, and then we watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure the last time we got together. And it was pretty nice being around family, being around with them at a movie theater, even though it was just an old movie we were watching. Ching. But I do remember, like, when I was watching Pee Wee's Big Adventure, a guy saw me wearing a Suicide Squad shirt, and he's like, "Hey, you saw the trailer?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited, man." and I was like thinking of watching in the theater because that's a movie I would totally want to watch in the theater, but sadly, I never got to. I watched it at home. I never went out. I was too busy with other things and also had a bit of a mental health issue. But it is fine. I still watched it. I had a good time. I had fun with it. And I was hoping to God that the movie would do well in theaters. But sadly, it seems unlikely unless its second weekend can pull in more money, hopefully, so it wouldn't bomb so hard. Hopefully. But yeah, that's my take on it. Hopefully, this variant will go away soon, and maybe the vaccination could help, or maybe the vaccination won't help. We don't know, or I don't know, and maybe I'm just assuming things. But who knows if the vaccination does help go against the new 2.0 of this virus. But anyway, we'll only know until the future if everything goes well. But I'm not talking about the virus. That's nothing that I like to talk about. I don't want to get political. I just like to talk about movies that sound very political. In other news, Brendan Fraser. Ah. Oh, Brendan Fraser. I love this actor. I don't think anyone knows this. I love this actor. I grew up watching the movies he was in when I was a kid, mainly the Mummy movies that I seen. And the only Mummy movie I seen in theaters was Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Not the best one to start out with to watch in the theater, but it was nice to see him on the big screen. Well, sadly, the last movie I saw on the big screen that he starred in was Furry Vengeance, the one where a raccoon was leading an army of animals because Brendan Fraser was going to tear down their forest home because they wanted to build like new land, new homes, or a new restaurant or something. Kind of like the movie Hoot, only if Brendan Fraser got his ass kicked by a raccoon and animals. Kind of, it's the live action sequel to Over the Hedge you never expected. But it is interesting to hear that Brendan Fraser has been making waves, have been making a comeback since I think 2018 with Doom Patrol, and also doing movies on HBO Max. Warner Brothers has given him love, basically, by helping him get work. It shows that. And I'm actually happy for him. I loved him in Doom Patrol. Sure, I haven't watched it in a long time, but he's been doing well, being able to be in the show, despite it's only his voice, and the actor who's actually in the suit is not him. So he's technically the Groot or Rocket Raccoon of the series, basically. But he has been doing well. I'm actually happy for him because it's been said that he has struggled in his life, getting divorced, and his wife taking everything he owned in the divorce, sadly, and also struggling to find work and trying to get more roles in movies, and sadly not getting any luck from it. In the last interview I've seen of him, he was very sad. He was very depressed, even though like there was this guy trying to cheer him up, thinking like, "Hey, you're a good actor, man. Everyone likes you, and everyone does. I like Brendan Fraser, despite I don't like a few movies that he's been in. I mean, Monkey Bone is fine, and other movies I don't like, I'm just blah on. I mean, I loved him as Encino Man when he was a frozen caveman that was stuck in the modern world, or in this case, not the modern world. He's stuck in the 90s. And he's done another few movies I liked. Again, The Mummy, but everyone knows The Mummy. And Looney Tunes Back in Action. I honestly did enjoy that film as well. That was pretty decent. Even him taking a jab on himself in that film was funny. But seeing him, he has been getting actually more work. In this GQ article, it says whatever happened to Brendan Fraser was a popular refrain during much of the 2010s when the one-time blockbuster star all but vanished from the spotlight. Then in 2018, GQ finally asked the source. The answers were unexpectedly moving and emotionally charged, yet it also didn't quite seem as if a resurgence was on the horizon. Fraser had a solid role in the underrated FX drama Trust. Performances on cult shows like Doom Patrol followed, but his dashing mummy-defeating days were clearly behind him, and yet now we seem to be entering improbable as it is, Fraser's comeback era. It started with A24, a good film news usually does these days. The studio acquired Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, which will feature Fraser as a 600-pound man who lies in a bathtub binge-eating out of guilt. Which honestly sounds like a pretty weird watch. It really does, because I don't know if that hits home. I don't know. Things only go up from here when Steven Soderbergh revealed he cast approximately 15 of the coolest actors alive for his new crime thriller, No Sudden Move. Brendan Fraser's name in the mix was a surprising but welcome sight as one of the shadowy go-betweens who kicks off the film's inciting incident. He more than acquits himself amidst the players who were used to seeing in gritty crime stories like this, which may be how he landed on Martin Scorsese's radar. Fraser will be part of the troupe for Killers of the Flower Moon, alongside De Niro, Leo, and probably new heavyweight Oscar contender Jesse Plemons. The guy who played the German soldier in Jungle Cruise. I know him in other movies too, don't worry. I'm trying to remember, but I know I think he was one of the bullies, or the kid that bullies Bow Wow in Like Mike. I think that was him. I don't know. I think it was him. It looked like him. He started out as a kid actor, I think. How did this happen? Fraser himself is as surprised and grateful as anyone, judging from a video that went viral this week of him tearing up when told that fans are rooting for him, but he seems to have shrewdly remolded his image and expanded his range. He doesn't have the figure or the agility to be Rick O'Connell again. No, he does not. Vanquishing CGI hordes of evil as a Club-Monaco version of Indiana Jones and No Sudden Move, he's unlikely you'll ever see him before as irritable, hulking heavy whose presence bodes danger and uncertainty. It's far from the able guy who typically toggled between dorky, affable, and action-adventure. Yep, he has been very happy lately, as people are calling this, I think, the Fraser-sance, or the Brennan-ance, or I don't know. Oh, I forgot what it was called. The Fraser-ance, I think. I don't know. I can't remember what people dubbed it as, but everyone who was a fan of Brendan Fraser, including me, have been worried about him, wondering what's happened and if he was ever going to do another movie again. I haven't heard much of him during the 2010s. I mean, that was it. Furry Vengeance, and then I never heard from him again after that movie, or that movie with that failed drama he did with Harrison Ford. I haven't heard from him ever since. And then when I saw how sad he was and depressed and or what happened to him, it was sad. But seeing him emotional, that there are still fans that like his work and glad he's back in the fray of doing movies again, I'm honestly happy for him too. And knowing that he got sad and teary eyed and happy with tears of joy, knowing that everyone who has been a fan from him since their childhood or since they ever watched him in movies in the 90s, like, oh, Airheads, him and Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi, that was a good movie too, where they were a band that wanted to get recognized and famous, and they called themselves the Lone Rangers, which was silly. But it was a good movie. It's funny. I liked it. I recommend that film. But yeah, Brendan Fraser has been an actor I've liked for a long time when I was a kid. And a lot of actors who sadly don't work anymore, who are either retired or they don't just get much work or they're just doing direct to DVD movies, sadly. I have seen those actors and I'm sadly like thinking, man, I wish I saw them in a big movie because they have done a lot of good films in the past, but I guess their star range hasn't flown yet. But it's not that bad. I mean, Keanu Reeves has done a lot of like unknown films that no one's heard of, and Keanu Reeves had a minor a huge like setback in his career where he hasn't been starring in movies lately. He hasn't done anything for a long time. And seeing how Keanu Reeves has made his big comeback, mainly for the John Wick films, it's been nice that he's actually, when everyone recognized him, everyone loves him. And all the things that he's been doing lately, like Cyberpunk uh, or like doing other movies he does cameos in, or hell, hilariously when he was playing the voice of the little cat in the movie Keanu. The man has garnered more recognition in recent days now, and I'm happy for him. So it's not too shocking that Brendan Fraser is gonna have the same renaissance as Keanu Reeves has, getting his career back and actually starring in bigger movies again in the big screen. It's kind of the same thing with Nicolas Cage, but he goes in and out in what movies he does. Sometimes he does a bad movie, sometimes he does a good movie, but that's usually Nicolas Cage in a nutshell. But sometimes he does movies that you would never expect, that are catch you off guard, especially horror movies, or the one movie in 2018 that became my favorite Nicolas Cage movie, Mandy, which was so beautiful to watch. And it was a horror movie that made you scared a bit, but it was a pretty cool film to see Nicolas Cage be a badass, go crazy and insane, wielding a chainsaw sword and just mowing down enemies, including killing biker demon gangs that have knife dicks. That's not a joke. Their dicks are sharp like knives and they look like a sword, and he tried to kill Nicolas Cage with it. Fisting. But we're talking about Brendan Fraser here and seeing how he is finally getting recognition that he deserves, and finally getting back into being in movies, but mainly in more serious movies, mainly drama roles, because he can't do action movies like he used to back then. I mean, he can if he's willing to put in the work and willing to exercise to be in a physical shape of doing action movies if he wants to. But seeing him in drama films is pretty much more better than doing an action film that people recognized you in the past, because drama, you get more range as an actor. So that would be cool to see Brendan Fraser tackle more movies that are different than what he's usually used to doing back then with comedies and such. Yes. But I am but me, I love him from Doom Patrol. He's really great in that show, and I'm going to get back into that show one day. It's on HBO Max, so I can just watch it whenever I can. And hopefully that hopefully that series is going to take off more, because I don't hear much people talk about Doom Patrol. Everyone's going to talk about how Titans is a bad DC show, but no one's giving Doom Patrol the recognition it means. It's a good show. Please watch it. I don't hear many people talk about it. Please. It's really good. You should check it out. You don't need to watch Titans to see it also. You just need to see the show, and you know the characters and what they're like once you see it. And speaking of DC and the comics they make, and what I talked about on Friday about the whole is James Gunn gonna direct Gotham City Sirens? James Gunn has recently debunked this and said that he has made no agreement, or let alone had any intention, to make Gotham City Sirens. He tweeted out recently, like literally the same day I released my video of the situation and what people think of what James Gunn, if he's going to direct Gotham City Sirens, is people want him to direct future DC films. He said, "You might be getting ahead of yourself. Yes, Margot and I have discussed working together again, but I've never discussed nor considered Gotham City Sirens, so therefore, speculative articles aside, haven't encountered any rights issues around the non-existent project. No sobbing emojis needed." So yeah, he is not directing it. He denied it. He isn't going to do it. There's no way he is ever going to do it. He's just saying like he wants to work with Margot Robbie again, which is fine with me. If he wants to make a solo Harley Quinn movie, I'm all for it. I feel like he made Harley Quinn pretty great in the Suicide Squad movie. I think she was great in it. I mean, he said he had so much enjoyment writing the character when doing the script. So he might be working on Margot Robbie again in maybe a Harley Quinn movie, or maybe in a separate project that's outside of the DCEU. Who knows? It's very interesting to wonder what could happen next in the future between Gunn and her. And I'm very glad he's not gonna go and do a Gotham City Sirens movie. But it's not out of the realm of possibility yet that maybe he would be asked to do it by Warner Brothers, or maybe not. It's all left to finding out what's going to happen in the future of DC, if Gunn's going to make more Suicide Squad or tackle on other villains of the DC universe. We don't know until it's set in stone, because you can't just assume things until it's set in stone. Once it's set in stone, then we'll have something to worry about or have something to look forward to, because this is all just rumors. This is all just hearsay and everything. There's nothing official yet about what's going to happen. But I am looking forward to what Gunn will do in the future for DC or anything else. I am looking forward to his Peacemaker TV series that's going to be done. That's probably a prequel or probably a continuation to the Suicide Squad movie. Who knows? I'm still looking forward to it either way. So hopefully things get into gear of wondering what Gunn will do. Am I on board of a Harley Quinn solo movie that's not Birds of Prey? Keep in mind, I do love Birds of Prey. I do enjoy that movie. I'm talking about a movie mainly for Harley Quinn and a separate movie mainly for the Birds of Prey, so Harley Quinn doesn't take over the film and just completely make it her own movie, because that was more of a Harley Quinn movie than a Birds of Prey film, I can tell you that. But anyway, I am happy for a lot of things. Sure, there's bad news that Venom Let There Be Carnage is not going to be released on September. But then again, I honestly thought when they said fall, I assumed they meant, oh, since it's technically kind of horror, like the Venom movie, I'm guessing they're going to release in October, like the last film was released on October. But it wasn't. It was originally a September release. I didn't know that it was going to come out that soon. I'm honestly shocked. And we still haven't gotten a rating yet, if it's going to be PG-13 or rated R. And I'm really striving and hoping for an R, because you can't do Cletus Cassidy in a PG-13 movie. It's just impossible to do that. And with Andy Serkis directing it, or if you don't know who Andy Serkis is, you may know him as Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or Caesar from the Planet of the Apes trilogy. This isn't his first time directing, basically. He did a Jungle Book movie, not the one by Disney, but he did a Netflix movie of Jungle Book called Mowgli that focused more on the darker side of the actual Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book, novel, basically, and he took the more darker aspects on it mainly for that film, and it shows, because that movie was very dark, showing Mowgli's friend, his friend that was a tiger cub, no, a lion cub. He sees his stuffed head mounted on this hunter's wall, and it's so depressing because he was friends with that lion, and that was Jesus. And I don't know if that movie was PG-13, but if it was PG-13, Jesus, they showed an animal head, and Mowgli is horrified about that. So maybe Andy Serkis found a loophole on the PG-13 rating and said, I will get away with many violence in this film. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. What do you think about Brendan Fraser's return to film? His glorious comeback? And what do you think about Venom being delayed again? And what do you think, now that we are relieved that James Gunn is not going to make a Gotham City Sirens movie ever, what do you think about this? What are your opinions? Are you going to post them in the comments? Am I just talking to no one on a voice recorder and I'm just wasting my time on this? Anyway, I'll see you, Wolfpack, in the next one. Ciao, darlings.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!